Hey there and welcome back, adventurers. In this video, we'll be going over one of the most versatile builds that all new and solo players should test out and play at some point. If you're like me and like to solo difficult mobs in PvE or want to expand your gameplay into PvP, then this will be a build for you. This build will allow you to venture into red and black zones where there is a lot of silver to be made. You will gather and farm knowing that you can hold your own in PvP encounters. In this video, I will break down each item, the abilities I recommend, and I will showcase how it looks in both PvE and PvP. Now, before we get into the video, I did have two announcements I wanted to make. The first announcement is that people have spoken and have chosen for me to do a 0 to hero with this exact build. I'll be uploading it in its entirety, broken up into different parts of 30 minutes each. So if you want to keep up with any future videos or are interested in 0 to heroes, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. Now, the second announcement I have is I will be doing a 30-day premium giveaway every 2 weeks in the community Discord. Both East and West servers are eligible, so head down to the description, click on the Discord link, and head over to the giveaway channel to join. Now, without further ado, let's get into the breakdown. Your main hand will be the Cursed Staff. To craft or purchase the Cursed Staff, you will need to unlock it through the Journeyman's Mage tree. You will start with the Tier 2 Novice Fire Staff, and once you unlock Tier 3, you can switch over to the Cursed Staff. Now, let's talk about which abilities you will take. For your first ability, you will take Vile Curse. Vile Curse is a damaging ability that deals initial damage and then places a damage over time effect that stacks up to 4 times over 8 seconds. It is very important to get your Vile stacks up as it will empower your other abilities. One thing to note with the Vile Curse is that it only has a 9-meter range and you must have your enemy target selected as this is not a skill shot ability. Now for your second ability, I recommend taking Desecrate. Desecrate will provide you with damage and crowd control, which is useful in both PvE and PvP. So Desecrate will root all targets within a 4-meter radius for about 4 seconds and also apply a Vile Curse charge. This is important to use with your Vile Curse since they do not share cooldowns and will allow you to get Vile Curse stacks up faster. You do have a 13-meter range, so you can throw this out while trying to kite your enemy. Your third ability is Death Curse. In essence, this is a huge bomb that goes off for an extraordinary amount of damage after 5 seconds. Now, there are two very important things to note with the Death Curse. The first being that it has a 0.15 second cast, so make sure that you're not moving or canceling your cast, thinking that it's an instant cast. There may be times where you're trying to kite the enemy and use Death Curse, but you are constantly moving and never applying this ability. The second most important thing to know is that the more Vile Curse stacks that you have, the harder this will hit. So make sure to quickly combo your first and second ability to maximize your Vile Curse stacks before Death Curse goes off. Since Death Curse does have a 5-second timer on it, there might be times where you place this on your target and you know they're low enough to die once it activates. If this is the case, make sure to kite around and dodge your enemy to avoid taking any unnecessary damage. Now, with your passive, you will go with Furious, which is the third passive available as early as your Tier 3 weapon and is unlocked once you get your Curse Staff's Mastery to level 20, which shouldn't take you any longer. So what Furious does, it increases your damage by 10% for 4 seconds after you have 5 spell casts. So this is very important to time with your Death Curse to increase the burst by that much more. Alright, so we have gone over your main hand weapon. Let's talk about your offhand. So the offhand I recommend is the Muisak, which increases your physical, magical, and ability damage. Now depending on which tier offhand you are using and your mastery, the more damage it will do. To unlock the Tier 4 Muisak, you will need to use the Tier 3 Offhand Tome of Spells. After acquiring the necessary mastery, it will unlock the Muisak for you. Okay, so let's talk about which other items and abilities will complement this Cursed Staff build. For your armor item, I recommend going with the Cleric Robe. Now, the Cleric Robe provides you with the ability Everlasting Spirit. You will place a ward on you that lasts 1.5 seconds, and if you take any damage within this time frame, you will gain a shield, making you immune to any further damage for 3 seconds. It will also increase your damage and healing by 20%. Now, there are a few things to take away from this ability. The first thing is that you don't immune the initial damage that you take, only the damage after you have procced the immunity shield. So do not wait until the last second to use this ability. Also, there are a couple ways that you can prioritize your shield. You can use this shield and pair it up to do extra damage and give your Death Curse an extra 20% damage, or you can also use this shield to counter your enemy's main abilities or healing abilities. A lot of melee DPS will run the Mercenary Jacket, which gives you Bloodlust. Bloodlust will heal your next 7 auto attacks. This ability can change a fight since melee can heal to full. However, if you time this correctly, you can immune their Bloodlust and ensure that they remain at a low health for an easy kill. Now, as you play the build more and get used to the different fights, you can make the decision on how you want to use the item. Now, for your passive, you will go with Aggression. This will increase the damage and healing by 8%. You might be noticing a trend here. You want to maximize your damage output to do an insane amount of damage with your Vile Curses and Death Curse. We've gone over your main hand weapon, offhand, and armor piece. Let's talk about your helmet. So your helmet will be the Cultist Cowl. The Cultist Cowl is great for both PvE and PvP, especially in powered mobs or dungeon bosses. The ability that you will use is Inner Corruption. The way Inner Corruption works is that you will reveal their Inner Corruption after 0.2 seconds for 4 seconds, meaning if your target is a player, it will deal damage every time they auto attack or use abilities against you. This effect cannot be reflected, which is massive. Now you want to use this when the enemy has committed, as it will maximize the damage that they take. I also recommend pairing this up with a poison potion. The amount of damage the enemy from Inner Corruption, poison potion, plus your Vile Curses will quickly change the fight. Now if your target is a mob, it will take an absurd amount of damage over the 4-second window. This is a great helmet to use if you're out killing difficult mobs in the roads or soloing high level dungeons. Now for your passive, it will be Aggression, which increases your damage and healing by 3.5%. For your boots, I recommend taking Soldier Boots. They will provide you with some defense and health for being plate boots. Your passive will be Toughness to increase that defense. For your main ability, I recommend taking Rejuvenating Sprint for any PvE you are doing, as it will increase your speed and healing. However, if you're in a red or black zone and might come across some PvP, then I recommend going with Wanderlust, which increases your speed every second for 8 seconds and lasts for up to 7 seconds after you have reached your max speed. This is a great way to avoid incoming skill shots and to use for either chasing down your enemy or running if need be. For your cape, you will go with the Carleon cape. The Carleon cape really makes this build feel great due to the passive Opportunist. Now this passive will reset your first ability, which is Vile Curse, when used. This means that you will quickly have 2 Vile Curse stacks on your enemy. It'll increase the damage they take and how soon you can put your Death Curse up. Let's talk about consumables. I recommend using Beef Stew for your food buff, as this will increase your damage output by 13.5% for 30 minutes, making that Death Curse look even more scarier. As I mentioned earlier, for your potions, I recommend taking the Poison Potion. It is aggressive, and if used correctly with your other abilities, it will put a lot of pressure on your enemy and boss mobs. Alright, so we've broken down each item you'll need and what abilities to take. Now let's talk about the rotation to use. First and foremost, you want to start by using your first ability twice to get 2 stacks of Vile Curse up. I then recommend using your second ability, Desecrate, to crowd control your enemy and adding the 3rd stack. Now, since it does take Death Curse 5 seconds to go off, I recommend putting up Death Curse at around 2 or 3 stacks depending on how the fight is going, since you'll have 5 seconds to add an additional stack. This will maximize your damage. Now, make sure to pop your Wanderlust while fighting to avoid any skill shots as you wait for Death Curse to go off, and then rinse and repeat. Once your target full engages on you, use your Inner Corruption ability plus your Poison Potion to increase your damage and pressure. Don't forget to use your Cleric's Robe Everlasting Spirit to negate any sort of large burst or counter any sustain your enemy target might try and use. Make sure to always have your Beef Stew food buff, and I promise you that you will win the majority of these encounters, unless of course you run across an 8.3 or 8.4 and you're at a huge disadvantage. Once again, this build is really good for new and solo players and can be used from the beginning. To show that, I will be doing a 0 to hero and uploading those videos the next day. I will have a playlist for all 0 to hero videos, and make sure to request any future weapons in the comments that you would like to see in those 0 to hero videos. I really hope you enjoyed this guide. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and join the community Discord to take advantage of the free giveaways and be the first ones to be updated on any future content. As always, stay epic, stay legendary, and I'll see you in the next video.